Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Naruto teleported in Pokegirls and marry 15 girls? Before I start, please do support for more awesome content and subscribe my channel and like this video. Go support and follow the Zaara the Black for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story, link in the description. Let's start this video. Dear old Naruto's side. He was considered to be one of the better looking men in Konoha. He stood at 5'9", his blonde hair and whisker-like and blue eyes made him stand out from most other people, wore an orange jacket with a black right sleeve, white undershirt and black pants. The reason he was depressed was because he had once again been denied the rank of Jonin. He had blown his date with Sakura and Kakashi had denied him training so he could go on a date with some housewife who cheated on her husband. Naruto just didn't have a reason to be in Konoha anymore. He didn't have any mission, so he went into his mind. He decided that it was time to move on from this place and only one being could do it. Inside Naruto's mind. Naruto found himself in front of the Kyuubi's cage. The fox looked at his vessel. "What do you want, boy? My existence is bad enough without you here to mock me." asked Dot. Excitement from this world. Konoha has become boring in this peaceful state. "I want action. I want a way out of this life and you're going to give it to me," said Naruto. Kyuubi seemed to think for a second before looking at Naruto. "Fine, but remember that this is a one-way trip, no coming back, no nagging on the deal, none of that crap. You want excitement, very well, but the price you pay will be my freedom back to hell. You wish to fight, I send you to a world with a lot more bite. I hope you enjoy the smells, because you will forever be in the world of the Pokegirl," said Kyuubi. Before Naruto had a chance to ask what he meant, Naruto felt a surge of pain go through his body and then all went black. Jack sat down. "Well, to start I'll tell you what I can. Rally here is what is called a Pokegirl," said Jack pointing to the woman. Naruto looked confused. "A poke what?" said Naruto. "A Pokegirl. You see, this kind of shit goes back a number of years. All to a man named Sukib. A master of technology and magic. This is the person responsible for the creation of Pokegirls and the scars created from his war. A great pervert, mage and scientist, he created the Pokegirls as his slaves and later as his way to get revenge. After he was discovered to be doing genetic experiments, it was initially thought his first lab was destroyed, and from the destroyed lab came the cursed Usenkyo spell dump. Several years later, Sukib came back and this time he used his powers to unleash a nightmare to the people of the earth. Sukib's revenge lasted for a great many years. It is believed that at the end, after his Pokegirls were turned back on his troops, that he was destroyed in the Battle of the Senbei. However, there does not exist any proof that he was in fact killed. The War of Humanity versus the hentai mage scientist Sukib. Sukib introduced humanity to his form of hell. A plague which killed millions and left nearly all females sterile, soldiers that were far beyond the powers of existing science, and other things the world thought only existed in fairy tales. The war united the world, which at the time was divided into something called nations, and sparked research into developing something that could combat Sukib's super soldiers, the Pokegirls. The most famous battle was the Battle of Senbei, where the first energy weapons were used and the beginning of the tamer forces were created. Sukib's forces were barely defeated thanks to the discovery that wild Pokegirls can be controlled by chosen people called tamers. Also, since most human females had been rendered infertile thanks to the plague, it was discovered that Pokegirls could bear human children as well as Pokegirls, males always human and some females human. However, almost all technology had been lost except those that dealt with stolen technology on Pokegirls. After Sukib's revenge had been fought, the need for tamers still existed as most Pokegirls had become feral and uncontrolled. Now, several hundred years after Sukib's revenge, humanity is just beginning to recover. Pokegirls are now somewhat accepted, tamers are now accepted as full-time jobs, pure-blood human females are getting rare, since most breeding is done with Pokegirls, technology has been slowly losing its bad reputation from Sukib, and humans must learn the full extent of the world they live in now," said Jack. Naruto sat back and whistled. "That's quite the story. You know, this world would be perfect for my former teachers who were perverts," said Naruto, thanking Kakashi and Hirosenin. "Yeah, it is. Although nowadays most people only become tamers so they could get in a good dot, they have no class or style. That's why I became a researcher. Rally here was the first Pokegirl I received. I never asked her to do anything that she didn't want to do, but help me around the lab and such," said Jack. Naruto smiled. "You ask instead of ordering. You must love her deeply," said Naruto, making the woman blush and Jack to kiss her. "I do love her," said Jack. Naruto looked at Jack. "Where do I sign up to be a tamer?" asked Naruto. Jack looked at Naruto. "Why would you want to be unless you're like all those other heartless bastards," said Jack, glaring at Naruto for a second. Naruto shook his head. "Well, if we're going to be brothers I might as well tell you my story," said Naruto as he told Jack about where he came from. Jack sat back and smiled. It seemed that this kid was alright, if a bit of a loose cannon. Jack took a look at his watch and noticed it was 3 p.m. "We can get you registered here. I also have a few Pokegirls that no one seemed to want," said Jack as he and Naruto got up. Naruto smiled at him. "Thanks Jack," said Naruto. Jack smiled. "That's what big bros are for. We have to head to the main lab to set everything up," said Jack. Naruto followed both Rally and Jack until they all reached the main lab. The main lab was a nice place, with a computer, black leather seats, and many devices that Naruto had no clue about. Rally sat in one chair, Jack sat in the other. It took them a little over an hour to set everything up, falsified birth records, educational records, and family. Now the only thing left was to get Naruto a Pokédex and a Pokegirl. Jack walked over to his workbench and grabbed an orange one that was sitting around. "Alright Naruto, this here is a Pokédex. It gives not only your information and license, but it also gives you data on Pokegirls," said Jack as he uploaded the data. Reading this info, Naruto frowned. Anyone could find his info and probably be ready to battle him at a moment's notice, but there was little he could do about that now. He looked at Jack. "We have to cover this up later. Can you show me your Pokegirls, Jack?" asked Naruto looking at the older blonde. Jack scratched the back of his head. "Sure, but remember they're all young and inexperienced in both sex and battles," said Jack as he led Naruto to a small area where they saw about 4 Pokegirls. Squirtities are the de facto water-type Pokegirl, being among the most common of their elements. They aren't much to look at until they undergo their evolutions, however. A Squirtity has blue skin, darker blue hair, and a red shell covering most of her back. The underside of the shell wraps around her stomach, ending just under her and just above her waist. It remains solidly on her back, despite the underside only covering that part of her torso. The underside of the shell is a pale off-white color. Squirtities are usually a little pudgy and tend to be small, with a B-cup being known for them. They never have any hair between their legs. Squirtities are only slightly more proficient at swimming than your average human, but are able to hold their breath for nearly half an hour before needing air. They aren't meant to be deep water divers though, since their shell acts as a mild flotation device for them, its composition being mildly buoyant as a natural precaution against drowning. Squirtities are about as able on the land as they are in the water. The first elemental Pokegirl to make her appearance during Sukub's war was the Cheramanda and her more powerful evolutions. Using her fire attacks to attack the human forces, they decimated regiments of human soldiers and melted through tank armor to great effect. It was only when Sukub's Charamandas attempted to infiltrate cities on their own that they found themselves overpowered by local fire departments and their fire hoses that held the lines against them. Eventually, when Sukub learned to utilize other elemental types with the Cheramanda forces, not even those defenders managed to hold the lines at all. After the war, these Pokegirls were hunted, but many survived both the war and the Pokegirl hunts in the years that followed. These were also the first fire types that researchers after the war obtained data on. These days, these Pokegirls are known to be one of the most stable and easily tamed fire types throughout the world. They don't need any special precautions before taming, unlike their evolutions. They are reptilian, having scales rather than skin like a human, which is rather sensitive to temperature drops and water. Their scales are normally a deep red in coloration, though their front is often an orange color or at least a lighter red around their stomach, and these Pokegirls also have a tail that is as long as they are tall that is not prehensile. Cheramanda stands at about 5 feet tall, though some are a bit taller as well. Their tail actually has a fire that emits from it, which allows the Cheramanda to heat up her surroundings easily. This flame may not be present in domestic Charamandas, however, although it can be dispelled with magic. Dousing this flame otherwise can harm a Cheramanda that does possess this flame. More affectionate than her evolutions, and perhaps more so than any other fire type other than the Spitfire or the Firecat, the Cheramanda enjoys cuddling with a trusted tamer almost as much as receiving a taming. This Pokegirl has a low pleasure threshold, which grows as she evolves. They are very careful with their tamers, not wanting to burn them, but Ferals are known to go all out against any that enter their supposed territory, Pokegirl and tamer alike. These Pokegirls are often provided to new tamers as often as a Growly is, simply because of their loyalty and abilities that are rather well suited towards traveling. Feral Cheramanda don't normally have hair, but domestics usually do thanks to their origins with having a human father. In battles, Charmanders are well suited for both ranged and close combat. Their teeth are suited to tearing, ripping, and piercing, perfect for their bite attacks. Although her tail isn't prehensile, it is strong and thick and suitable for her tail whip attack. And their ability with fire allows for a variety of fire attacks to be available at most any range of battle. The Cheramanda has claws on her hands and feet, allowing her to utilize them well in close quarters as well. In sex battles, their low pleasure threshold is an obvious liability. Their evolved forms are much more suited for such battles, however. Naruto was impressed, but still had 2 more to go. Common starter Pokegirls in the Johto League, the Chickadee is a great girl for those looking for a pure plant type. Extremely loyal to those that have shown them kindness, the Chickadee can serve a wide variety of functions. Recent studies have found that the Chickadee is nearly immune to all spore and pollen-based poisons. Tycho, like nearly all other plant Pokegirls, has a light green shade to her skin. Around each wrist are 5 bumps, looking like bracelets from a distance. They usually wear their hair long and often have leaves and vines woven into it. Tycho are very self-aware and many have low self-esteem. This is often caused by the fact that they are rather plain in the looks department. Short by Pokegirl standards, most barely hit 5 and with a cup, the Chickadee is never going to beat a succubus in a beauty contest. To make matters worse, their faces are rather flat and plain, though their eyes do seem somewhat on their small bodies. Those same eyes though, cause many tamers to lie awake in the night, reflecting on the love and trust they found there. One famous poet, William Shakespeare, actually wrote a full play about the trouble caused when a young tamer looked into the eyes of a Chickadee. Because he was from an anti-Pokegirl family, he couldn't be seen with his lover in public. The forbidden love is the main plot of the play until the final scene in which the two lovers kill themselves so they could be together in the afterlife. The play, Ted and Chickadee, is considered to be one of Shakespeare's greatest works. In battle, Chico has similar powers to those of a Bulbasaur. However, Chico are unable to create poison and have to rely on other means of fighting. From the bumps on her wrist come the majority of her attacks. Her vines come out of the bumps, though at lower levels she can only make 1 on each hand. The higher her level, the more vines she can manifest until she has 5 on each hand. The bumps are also used to forcibly expel S, granting her access to the bullet attack. The bumps also act as a focal point for her solar beam attack. When charging the solar beam, the bumps will begin to glow until white. At that point, the Chickadee will do what seems to be a double palm thrust and the solar beam will shoot out from her palm. During taming, a Chickadee will act very shy and submissive at first. Once they have found a tamer they have shown them plenty of affection and proven their looks don't matter to them, their personality does a total 180. Fond of getting drilled from behind, Chico also enjoys using their vine whip skills in other ways, though nothing like Damina's, Chico have a hard time understanding why anyone would want to be hurt during such a pleasurable time. While they will grope and stroke their tamer if he is male, they are especially fond of playing a game with female tamers. This game is only known as Tentacle Wape, as no female tamers have commented on what it entails. In the wild, Chico can often be found sunbathing they can't be sunburned and they gain vital nutrients from the light. While sunbathing, they are easily captured. Thresholding into a Chickadee is a rare occurrence in most leagues, but has become more common in Johto. When this happens, it is usually taken poorly as the girls often drop in height while their looks become plain and bland. A number of Chico have been sent to the newly formed Opal League to become starters for their growing tamer population. Tycho seems like a good starter, huh? Asked Jack, smirking at Naruto. Yeah, but I want to see this last one, said Naruto as he began to scan the girl laying on the grass. She looked around 15, stood around 4'6", had long brown hair that looked more like fur that was pulled into a ponytail by a loose blue bow, 2 brown ears at the top of her head, shapely, long fluffy tail, nice C-cup, and doe-like brown eyes. She wore blue jean short shorts that were a bit unzipped, an orange top that barely covered her stomach, and no shoes. Eva, the fox squirrel Pokegirl, is furry and cute and fairly popular. They are loyal, affectionate, and fairly intelligent. Many have been trained to be good domestics and enjoy being helpful in almost any regard. They respond well to affection, and their possibility of evolving into one of their elemental forms gives them good combat potential. Evas also have a bad reputation that they have only slowly begun to overcome due to what happened in the Orange Continent. On the Orange Continent, about 20 years after Sukub's disappearance, an attempt to evolve an Eva using an angel stone resulted in the continent's almost complete destruction. Now the Orange Islands have a no Evas allowed policy, though most people don't know why other than Evas are bad luck. It is thought that Sukub created this girl to mainly act as a distraction in the war. A small group would approach an intended target, be it a base or a battalion, and attack. The aura would assist in their retreat. It would lull enemies into a false sense of pity and chivalry, as human males are wont to do, and allow for the group's safe escape. While the reason for this girl's evolutionary abilities still remains unknown for the most part, it continues to undergo research. How about her, said Naruto pointing to Eva. She's rather cute and I got a strange feeling the moment I laid eyes on her, said Naruto. Jack smiled. That's a good choice bro, said Jack as he went and got her. Jack soon returned with Eva. She stared at Naruto for a second before blushing. Jack laughed. She's a bit of a shy one. At least until she's comfortable around you, said Jack. Hello there Eva, said Naruto. Hello there master, said Eva. Naruto looked at her. You don't have to call me that, said Naruto, making Eva look at him in surprise. But I must. It is a sign of respect between Tamer and Pokegirl, said Eva. Naruto smiled before petting her ears making her moan slightly. Well, you're my new friend, so call me Naruto. I got to ask if you have a name besides Eva. No master, but you may give me one if you like, said Eva, smiling at Naruto, already feeling comfortable around him. Naruto seemed to think for a second before snapping his fingers. How about Levi, said Naruto. Levi, as was her new name, smiled at Naruto before bending over slightly and giving him a small peek at her. Jack smiled before he told them to follow. Once they returned to the main lab, Jack looked at Naruto. Alright bro, now that all the major stuff is settled we can get down to business. Here in the Indigo League we have a number of gyms that you can battle against for entrance into the league finals. The league finals are held every 2 years. Now you came a bit late to the game, so you only have about a year and a half to catch up, so what do you plan to do? Asked Jack. Naruto smirked at him before looking at Levi. Just who the hell do you think I am? I plan to spend the first month training here and then I'm going to hit the road, said Naruto. Levi looked at him. Maz, Naruto, are you sure that's a wise idea? Asked Levi. Maybe not the best, but before we do anything I'm going to up you to the level that I think you do your best at, said Naruto, making her blush from the praise. Thank you, said Levi. Rally entered the room and looked at Naruto, Levi, and Jack. Dinner is ready, Jack, as is the room for Naruto-kun and Levi, said Rally. Great, let's eat and get some rest, said Jack. Tomorrow was going to be a long day. Naruto woke up and looked around. After remembering the previous day, I smiled. He tried to get up but found a bit of weight on him. He looked down to see his first Pokegirl Levi and Eva sleeping peacefully. She had removed all her clothes the previous night but nothing had happened. Naruto kissed her forehead and woke her up. She smiled at Naruto before kissing him. Good morning, master, said Levi. Naruto wanted to cry. She still had problems just calling him by his name. They both got up and got dressed, though Naruto was staring at Levi's ass the whole time. Even if he wanted to look away he couldn't because she had such a cute ass. They both exited the room and made their way down to the living room where Jack and Rally had breakfast ready. They all sat down and began to eat. It was a comfortable silence. After it was over, Naruto offered to do the dishes as Jack went to his lab to grab his field gear. He had to check something out in the surrounding area. Once Naruto finished the dishes he grabbed Levi and took her outside. He pulled out his dex and looked at her level and attacked. Name: Levi. Type: Eva. LV: 5. Attacks: Quick, Aura of Cute, Tackle, Leap, Sand Attack, Dodge, Quick Attack, Growl, Leer. Naruto pondered this. Not a bad batch of moves. Alright Levi, you and I are going to start by doing push-ups. 100 of them, said Naruto. What? Asked a shocked Levi. On, the quicker we start the faster we get done with the warm-up, said Naruto, making Levi whine a bit before she followed his example. 9 hours later. Naruto walked into the house with Levi right behind him moaning in pain. He had put her through hell and it wasn't a pretty sight. He had her spar with him after the warm-ups and that had lasted a good 6 hours. Levi flopped to the floor and lay there. Oh my. Are you alright, Levi? Asked Rally as Jack came in to see her laying there. That man is a slave driver. Don't trust him when he says light, said Levi in between groans. Trust me, that was nothing compared to what my old pal Lee and his sensei used to do. I only had you run 10 laps. If it was Lee you would be running 1,000 laps, said Naruto. Levi turned her head and glared at him. You're still a damn slave driver, said Levi. Rally chuckled while Jack laughed. He pulled out his old red Pokédex and scanned Rally. Says here she's at level 9 already. Impressive, most tamers don't get their first Pokegirl to LV9 in 2 weeks, yet you did it in nearly a day, said Jack before putting his dex back up. Yeah. I plan on heading to the nearest gym soon to start battling, said Naruto. If you want to do that, the nearest gym is Cherry City. You have to go past the forest here. That's about 3.5 days of walking, said Jack. I figured as much. We'll probably be here for another day before we set out, bro, said Naruto. That would be for the best. You might want to take Levi to the hot springs. It helps after a hard day of training, said Jack. Naruto nodded and picked her up before he helped her to the springs. Rally smiled. She's already quite taken with him, said Rally, making Jack look at her with a raised brow. How do you know that, Rally? Asked Jack, only for her to stand up and kiss him. Instinct, Jack, said Rally as she walked away while swaying her. Jack got the hint and soon followed. In the springs. Levi sighed as the water seemed to fit her like a glove. It loosened up her tight and aching muscles that the training had done to her today. Naruto kneeled behind her and began to massage her shoulders. Levi was enjoying what her master was doing to her. The feeling was making her feel much better. It was also giving her a slight tingling sensation between her legs. Hey Levi, why not get out the water so I can do your back, said Naruto. Levi nodded before she got out of the water and lay on her stomach. Naruto then began to rub her back in key places, making the girl moan in pleasure as well as relief as the soreness began to enjoy the feeling. Levi was beginning to enjoy herself until he touched her tail. Levi let out a loud moan as he did this. Naruto stopped and looked at Levi. He started to mess with her tail by petting it. Levi clamped her hand over her mouth when an orgasm hit her. She screamed in pleasure before her master looked at her. "Sorry about that, Levi-chan, I didn't know that would happen," said Naruto. Levi stood up before pushing him down and sitting on his dot. "Now you know, master, what do you plan to do about it?" asked Levi as she kissed him on the. Naruto pulled Levi out of the water and wrapped her in a towel before wrapping himself and walking to their room for the night. Next morning. Naruto woke with a yawn and saw that Levi was sleeping well. He woke her up. "Hey Levi, how do you feel?" asked Naruto. Levi stared at Naruto and just smiled. "It won't do any good, bro. She's in taming shock," said Jack from the door. Naruto looked at Jack, who didn't have his jacket on. "The hell is that? How long does it last?" asked Naruto. Jack shrugged. Taming shock happens to a Pokegirl the first time it is taken by a new tamer. Most figure it's to establish a new connection. As for the actual taming shock, it could be anywhere from 3 hours to 3 weeks. "The first time I tamed Rally, she was in taming shock for nearly a week," said Jack. "Alright, what do you recommend, bro?" asked Naruto. "Let it wear off before you do anything else. It may seem like nothing, but she's going to need the rest. Be lucky she isn't a fire Pokegirl or something that has a high, or she'd be ready to go again, even in shock," said Jack. "Alright then. While she rests I can learn all about the world," said Naruto. 5 days later. Naruto stood at the front door with Levi next to him as they prepared to leave. Naruto had ventured into the main part of the town and bought himself new clothes. He now sported a white button-up shirt that had the sleeves rolled up, baggy dark blue jean pants, a long blue sleeveless jacket with the kanji for wind on the back in green, black boots, black fingerless gloves, and a pair of blue shades. Levi still had on the short shorts from before, still unzipped a little. She now sported a black shirt that barely covered her like before. Levi had tamer's shock for 2.5 days. While she was shocked, Naruto learned as much as he could about the world. She had also taken to calling him Naruto-kun. It really amazed him. So much stuff, and yet, it seemed that there was never enough knowledge. He had generally gotten the picture. He had Levi training in close combat and he was surprised at how well she did. She was probably an elite gen in an LVA combat. She had also learned a bit about Naruto's past, the parts he shared anyway. Levi had cried after Naruto told her the softer parts of his childhood. She had grown up in LV. She was now at LV 14 and was ready to prove herself worthy of her master. Jack smiled at Naruto. "I guess I'll see you around, bro," said Jack as he gave Naruto a small hug. "Yeah, take care yourself, bro," said Naruto. Rally seemed to remember something as she rushed inside and came back a few seconds later with 5 small balls. Naruto knew they wore Pokeballs to help catch feral Pokegirls. Rally handed them to Naruto. "You might want to keep them on you, you never know when you'll need them," said Rally. Naruto smiled at her. "Thanks, Rally," said Naruto. Rally turned to Levi. "You take good care of Naruto-kun now," said Rally, making the younger Pokegirl smile and nod. "Don't worry, Miss Rally. I'll keep Naruto safe and sound," said Levi, hugging Naruto's arm. Everyone laughed. Naruto and Levi began to walk away and soon found themselves on the road leading to the forest. Eva, the fox squirrel Pokegirl. Type: Animorph, humanoid. Element: normal. Frequency: uncommon. Diet: berries, nuts, common Pokekao. Role: pets, guard animals, distractions, and domestics. Libido: average. Strong vs. Ghost. Weak vs. Fighting. Attacks: quick, aura of cute, tackle, leap, sand attack, dodge, quick attack, growl, leer. Enhancements: fur, capability of evolving to an elemental form, enhanced speed, x5. Evolves: flares, firestone, vaporita, waterstone, gelatina, thunderstone, celeria, leafstone, chipina, diamond stone, marmot, battle stressor, round stone, espia, normal, triggered in the day or sunstone, umbria, normal, triggered at night, or moon shard, evangelion, angel stone, omegan, dark stone and monocrystal, gel bell, after 3 tamings with a slamet. Lace, ice crystal in cold conditions. Evolves from Nuncherry City. In the forest. As Naruto and Levi walked in the forest, they saw a few Pokegirls. All of them seemed to be quite alright and not many bothered them. They spent the whole day walking until it was around lunchtime. Naruto had pulled out some food and with the aid of Levi, got a small fire going so they could eat. As they prepared to sleep, Naruto heard a small noise. Naruto looked up and saw that a Pokegirl was standing before him. The girl looked around 18, resembling a tiger from his world. She stood at roughly 5'6", reddish-orange fur that covered her whole body, C-cup, light green eyes, orange hair that blended well with her fur, and cat ears that seemed to come out the side of her head. She wore a red V-neck top that barely covered her cleavage, tattered tight brown pants, and boots. She growled at Naruto before she got into a lowered body stance before lunging at Naruto. Naruto jumped out of the way as she righted herself and prepared to attack again. Naruto slipped out his Pokédex and scanned her. One of Tsukib's original Pokegirl breeds, the Tigress was one of the primary front-line fighters of Tsukib's forces during the War of Revenge. A deadly warrior thanks to enhanced senses, strength and agility, not to mention the attributes given to her by her tiger genetics base, such as claws and night vision, this Pokegirl breed was highly adaptable to most given situations. There are many newscasts and articles produced before the new age that exists today that best show the ferocity and cruelty this breed was capable of. Ironically, this was also among the first Pokegirl species that turned to humanity's side. They were a very sensual breed, and it was easy for soldiers to turn captured tigresses to their side with a satisfying taming. In the end, this was the many Pokegirl breeds that made the majority of tamer forces that attacked Tsukib's stronghold at the Battle of Sanbei and made them popular amongst tamers even today. Their willingness to do hard work and the intense, near-growly level loyalty they can possess makes them an ideal Pokegirl for both tamers and as partners to police officers. Physically, the Tigress breed has strong genetic association with their namesake. The breed is built with a muscled, sleek feline frame, having furred tail and cat ears, and normally covered in reddish-orange fur with black stripes, covering their bodies entirely. The breed is noted for their healthy size, which hovers around a C-cup. Although there are members of the breed noted with R-cup sizes, R can often impede their fighting skills. Most tigresses stand at a height between 5'5" and 6", all of which are well-toned, sleek muscular forms that are capable of some impressive flexibility, which can be used in combat or the bedroom. All of these physical traits are what make the tigress so highly sought after. Almost universally the tigress Pokegirl species possesses a very passionate nature, both within a combat arena as well as in bed. Their battle keeps them ready for battle anywhere, anytime, even against opponents that they would be considered weak against. Fighters to the core, they will throw themselves into battle, always pushing their limits to the max. Simply pointing them in the direction of their opponent is all a tamer needs to do to get the results they want, as most enemies are often intimidated by the ferocity with which Tigress fights within combat. However, such is not advised, considering the damage that can be incurred during a pocket battle with a wild-running Tigress. Instead, leagues have put out educational material for educating tamers on properly handling and training their tigresses, made free upon request at most pocket centers. A tigress, even if domestic, is a wild being, and tamers that don't help their Pokegirl properly channel her skills can meet with some disastrous results, often very lethal to the tamer. Equal to if not surpassing their love of battle, tigresses are imbued with an insatiable appetite for sex and act with a wild manner, making this Pokegirl a wild one in bed. During taming, the tigress breed are extremely passionate, always pushing the limits of both Pokegirl and tamer to the limits. Feline flexibility, sleek muscles and an insatiable appetite all come together for a taming with tigress that is a memorable event for even the most experienced of tamers. They are very sensual, loving any attention paid on them, particularly having their fur stroked with their tail being particularly sensitive. Despite all they're capable of in bed, tigresses are average libidoed Pokegirls, however, they only require the average and are more than willing to go for the extremes. Indeed the phrase, like a tigress in bed refers to all this, setting a standard that all other Pokegirls are judged by. However, not everything concerning the tigress is a bed of roses. The breed has taken some serious hits in its popularity over the years, especially in the past century. Due to the intense loyalty, if not fanaticism surrounding one tigress had for her master and the events that lead to his death, saw the rise of Mao's rebellion in 248 AS, sealing the fate of Pokegirl rights and leaving humanity to face factions of her rebellion to this very day, the Limbeck pirates included as such. And then the discovery of the Panther's Pokegirl breed only a couple of decades later has caused people to look at tigress breed in a new light, leading them to realize that while they have the potential to aid humanity, their same versatility can also be used to cause great harm, a true double-edged sword. Nevertheless, despite the shortcomings and hits to their reputation, the tigress remains among the most highly sought-after Pokegirl breeds. Although a rare outcome for girls to change into when they hit threshold, it is not a surprise that women with a strong feline ancestry have a solid shot at becoming a tigress. Especially if they were many felines of the catgirl branch rather than the male in their family tree. The families of said girls are advised to be careful, as the onset of the girl's new instincts cause her to become rather wild. Although it may be dangerous, it's best to give the girl company as she goes through this trying state, lest the invading animal mindset be allowed to take over completely, causing the threshold tigress to take flight. Once she's fully thresholded, it's then safe for the family to sell her off to a ranch or a private party. Naruto then turned to scanning her LV and found that she was a LV-13 Pokegirl. This would make her a bit of a match for Levi. "Levi, are you ready for your first battle?" asked Naruto as Levi jumped in front of him. "Ready, Naruto-kun," said Levi as she prepared to do battle. "Alright then. Levi, quick attack," said Naruto. Levi soon started to speed up and charge at Tigress. When Levi was upon her, she threw out a powerful jab. The Tigress stopped the attack and countered with a vicious uppercut that sent Levi to the ground and on her back. Levi jumped out the way as the Tigress tried to pounce on her with a knee drop. Levi quickly used the force of her jump by using a kick that sent the Tigress to the ground. "Levi uses tackle," said Naruto as the Tigress got up. Levi charged at the Tigress before sending her to the ground using her body weight to spear tackle her. The Tigress used this to her advantage and used bite. Levi screamed in pain before her grip on the Tigress increased before she slammed the Tigress into a tree. The Tigress felt the full impact of the attack and slumped down a little. "Levi, move," yelled Naruto. "Alright," yelled Levi before jumping into the air. Naruto grabbed a pokeball from his belt before throwing it at Tigress. The ball hit Tigress and a beam of red light engulfed her before the ball fell to the ground and started to shake. Naruto and Levi waited on bated breath as this happened. The ball stopped shaking and the red light in the center confirmed that she was caught. Once it was confirmed, Naruto ran over to Levi to make sure she wasn't hurt. "Are you alright, Levi?" asked Naruto looking at her. Levi nodded before rubbing her jaw. "She got in a pretty good punch, I'll give her that, Naruto-kun," said Levi. "Let's get some sleep. We'll deal with this one in the morning," sighed Naruto as both he and Levi drifted off to sleep. Naruto stood up in a tree and was looking at the sun as it rose. The wind was cool and refreshing. Naruto enjoyed mornings like this. Naruto jumped out of the tree and landed on the ground. He had discovered on the second day in this world that this world basically ran on the same rules as his and he was able to use his massive chakra reserves. After Naruto jumped out of the tree, he took both his pokeballs and threw them. Two beams of light appeared and showed his two Pokegirls. Levi yawned while the Tigress smiled. "Good morning, ladies," said Naruto. "Good morning, Naruto-kun," said Levi as she ran up to Naruto and gave him a kiss. "I guess you're my new tamer, huh?" said the Tigress examining Naruto from head to toe. Naruto. "Not bad," said Naruto. "Yeah. Tell me, why did you seem so feral even though you look like you were taken care of rather well?" asked Naruto. The Tigress sat down. "I won't lie to you, master. My last master was a real cruel son of a bitch. He tamed me only once every 3 months, in case you didn't know, that's super bad for my kind. After that it was abuse after abuse. Soon I was losing matches, and when I lost my 6th match straight, he abandoned me like yesterday's trash. That was 6 months ago. You can't begin to imagine what I was going through. I should be thankful that I'm still alive. After what happened, I could have become a pantheress," said the Tigress putting her hand on her head. "The panthers?" said Levi as she turned her head to the side. "Hang on. That initial was attached to the Tigress profile on the dex," said Naruto as he grabbed his Pokédex and quickly looked up Panthers. Panthers, the dark feline Pokegirl. Type: Animorph, Black Panther. Element: Dark Fighting. Frequency: Very rare. Diet: Human-style foods, extra meat, especially fresh and raw. Role: Menace to society, killer, punisher. Libido: Average, high 4 times a year. Strong vs. Normal, ghost, psychic. Weak vs. Bug, fighting, rock. Attacks: Bite, Crunch, Fury Swipes, Dark Goggles, Dark Blade, Gatling Punch, Gatling Kick, Stone Palm, Saber Claw, Seismic Toss, Body Slam, Kai Blast, Resist, Dark Shield, Dark Mist, Dark Bomb, Super Claw. Enhancements: Enhanced Claws, Night Vision, Enhanced Strength, X15 Berserker Type, X5 Fiend Type, Enhanced Olfactory Sense, X5, Enhanced Hearing, X5, Enhanced Durability, X5 Berserker Type only, Enhanced Intelligence, X5 Fiend Type only, Enhanced Agility, X3 Berserker Type, X7 Fiend Type, Quick Recovery, Stealth, can blend in with shadows. Evolves: None. Evolves from Tigress, Low Discipline, Mistreatment, Little Taming, and lose 7 battles in a row. Bounty, for confirmed kill. 800,000 SLC. Bounty, for reporting sighting and getting out alive. 200,000 SLC. Recommendation: if you see one, make sure you have a strong fighting type Pokegirl on hand to fight. Try to not let yourself become visible to the Pantheress, as they will try to ignore your Pokegirl to attack you directly. In all things light there is darkness. Like the Penance and the Chimera, the Pantheress is a dark evolution. Only this walking tragedy is especially sad, as it could have been prevented quite easily. There are a combination of elements which result in an evolution to a Pantheress. One, obviously, is mistreatment, verbal and physical abuse. Normally, this would lead a tigress to become a penance. However, another factor is a lack of discipline. Treating a tigress with indifference save for when you want something, not having her train much at all, and other such lackadaisical things add to the deadly mixture. Another, even more inexcusable factor is lack of taming. Tigresses require frequent taming for them to function, and not taming them often leaves them half feral, near savage at all. And finally, having the tigress lose 7 battles in a row. This engulfs them in rage and frustration, resulting in a dark evolution and certain death for the tamer who abused her. They are menaces, yes, but they are also to be pitied. The first pantheress was discovered completely by accident. A tamer of the Sunshine League didn't take good care of his tigress, letting her training slip, rarely taming her, and forcing her into fights against opponents who outclassed her greatly. When the tigress lost her 7th battle, against a griffin, she was engulfed in dark light, changing into a monster. She killed her tamer for the pain and frustration she had suffered under him and murdered the griffin and her tamer out of sheer rage. The pantheress was caught and put down, but soon after others began appearing. There are 2 known types of pantheress. The most common form is the berserker pantheress. Berserkers gain tremendous amounts of muscle, especially in the biceps and thighs, expanding into the F-cup range. Their tails grow thicker, their fur and hair becoming midnight black, giving them the ability to blend in with the shadows. Their eyes become gold, and their faces, if not already close to it, become much more animal-like in appearance, looking almost exactly like the animal they were based on originally. Their claws increase in sharpness and thickness, their senses enhancing just slightly. Berserker type undergo a drop in intelligence, their minds becoming almost constantly angry, lost to the rage over the abuse and neglect they suffered. They are brutally savage in battle, but somewhat clumsy due to their size. This can be used to the advantage of someone attempting to put the pantheress out of their misery. They cannot stand the presence of most men for any length of time longer than it takes to get what they need out of them and consider other Pokegirls helping men to be an act of betrayal. The second type of pantheress is much more rare, but just as dangerous, this form known as the fiend type. Their faces, if animalistic, become more human, their hair and fur darkening to deep black. Their eyes become golden, their claws sharpening, and like berserker types gain the ability to blend in with the shadows. They retain the lithe, slender figure of their previous form, gaining only a slight increase in bust and height. However, what they gain is an increase to their intelligence. They become smarter and in turn crueler, gaining a strong desire to turn the fury at their abuse and neglect outward in various ways. They are just as angry as the berserker type, but they turn that anger outward in a different way, in the form of acts of vicious cruelty. Otherwise, they appear as calm as any other Pokegirl. They can stand the presence of men for strong lengths of time, but doing so makes them act out even more. They can accept timings from males, but will feel tremendously sullied afterwards for psychosomatic reasons and need to have a taming with a female or a Pokegirl immediately afterwards to feel better and calm down. Fiend types are infamous for their cruelty and are considered by some to be more dangerous than berserker types. It's unclear so far what causes the variance that makes the 2 different types of pantheresses. Many theories have been presented, some reasonable, some not. So far, the most acceptable reasoning for the difference is that the type of abuse that created them differs from the berserker to the fiend, with berserkers receiving primarily physical abuse, while fiends receive primarily mental abuse. No one is willing to test this, so studies are being performed on a case-by-case basis. Are vicious, unrelenting fighters. They will not hesitate to kill anyone they find, and when they catch a male tamer they will torture him to death, forcing them to arousal and violently raping them first. They are considered by some to be embodiments of Mao Shin Mao's frustration and rage. It is known what makes a pantheress, and you are advised not to do this under any circumstances. They will not stop until they kill their abuser and anyone else in their way. If found in the wild, do not attempt to engage or capture unless absolutely necessary. Evacuate the area immediately and contact local security forces and as many officer Jennies as you can find. This is not a joke. Failure to do so will result in loss of Pokegirls and Tamers license, as pantheresses are ranked to be an alpha class threat and a danger to anyone around them. There has been some talk of taming a pantheress for use in a harem, possibly even rehabilitating them like penances can be. Research has shown this to be impossible so far, as the ingrained hatred of men pantheresses has made them unwilling to tolerate the concept of being in a harem. The closest anyone has come is in the Silver Islands League, where the experimental lockdown procedure has produced at least one known berserker-type pantheress that will not kill a man on sight. She still despises men, however, and the rage, while more controlled, is still there, making her very difficult to deal with. She wants nothing more than to be left alone, and all those involved with the project are inclined to let her be. While SIL officials are considered bizarre by most due to their stance on certain issues, their research into finding ways of making dangerous Pokegirls less dangerous is encouraged. There have been only 2 known instances of a controlled Panthers besides this one. The first is a berserker type reportedly spotted in the Sunshine League that showed signs of possibly being a battle Panthers. The bonding may also account for why she let the 2 men spotted with her actively be in her company for so long. The other is a fiend-type Panthers known to be a member of a Limbeck pirate band in the Indigo League. Thankfully, there are no instances of thresholding into a Panthers occurring. Although some have brought up a rather interesting topic. If a Panthers were to occur through thresholding, would they have the tremendous internal rage that regular Pantherses do? The theory was presented by Silver Island's researchers and admittedly has given some people pause. This theory has also made law enforcement officials, especially those in charge of tracking down and eliminating illegal kit mills, become more cautious when searching for the illegal facilities. No wonder the bastard abandoned you. He was scared you'd turn into a Panthers and kill him. Personally, I wouldn't have blamed you, said Naruto, making her shiver for a second. He seemed a little pissed off. Are you going to abandon me as well, Naruto? Asked a tigress looking into Naruto's eyes. Naruto shook his head. No. I'm not. I've always lived by the rule that I don't abandon people. I'm not a cold-hearted bastard like your last tamer. Do you remember his name? Asked Naruto. All the tigress did was shake her head. Sorry, but I don't, although I'd remember his face in a second if I ever saw it again, said the tigress. Well, we can't keep calling you Tigress. You do have a name you'd like to go by? Asked Naruto. The tigress blushed. She had never been asked by anyone if she wanted something. Well, I rather like the name Tatiana, said the tigress. Naruto smiled. Tatiana it is. My name is Naruto, said Naruto as Levi went over and gave Tatiana a hug. I'm Levi, your new harem sister, said Levi, making the other girl smile. Aw, you're so cute. I just love those ears of yours, said Tatiana, picking the other girl up and giving her a massive hug. Naruto scratched the back of his head as he looked at them. They're going to get along fine, thought Naruto, smiling. A day after walking. Naruto, Levi, and Tatiana had walked along the patch for a good few miles. It wouldn't be too long before they reached the city. They set up camp 2 hours before it got dark so Naruto could train them. Alright girls, you ready for some training? Asked Naruto, smirking at them. Levi paled while Tatiana looked at her. How bad can his training be live? Asked Tatiana. Levi groaned while Naruto smirked at them. Tatiana would later regret asking that question. 3 hours later. Levi and Tatiana both fell to the ground and both were panting heavy. They had just gone through the toughest endurance training ever and all Naruto did was smack their thighs and arms with a pole he pulled from nowhere. He had also had them both attack him, which was easy considering that he had blindfolded himself, but he still sent them to the dirt after each attack. Apparently they were glad for the rest. He was strong. Alright, how about some fish for dinner, said Naruto. Tatiana's ears twitched. That would be a great, master, she said. Naruto smiled. Great. I'll be back in a few, said Naruto, walking off. Tatiana turned to Levi. He's a bit of a slave driver, said Tatiana. Although he's a lot nicer than my last tamer was, said Tatiana. Levi smiled. Naruto-kun is nice, but that's from years and years of others being cruel to him, said Levi, before clamping her hand over her mouth. Tatiana glared at her. Alright, spill, before I force the info out of you, Levi, said Tatiana, smirking. Levi shook her head before she was tackled and pinned. Tatiana had more strength, but Levi threw the girl off her before settling her waist. Tatiana flipped them both over before pinning the smaller girl's arms. You two couldn't wait for me, could you, said a smirking Naruto from the tree line. He had 6 fish in his position. Levi blushed knowing that her master saw her as being dominated by her new harem sister, but Tatiana smiled before she licked the other girl's ear, making her moan before kissing her. Naruto was enjoying the show that they seemed to put on. Tatiana removed her lips before running her tongue along the smaller girl's face and neck, making her moan. Tatiana looked into the eyes of the panting Eva before kissing her again. Now Naruto was really enjoying the show. After Tatiana broke the kiss, she smirked at her tamer. You want to join a master? I'm sure we can play around for a while, hell even longer than that, said Tatiana, smirking. Naruto looked thoughtful. How about after we eat? Asked Naruto, smirking back at her. As if on cue, the girls' stomachs growled, making them both blush and Naruto laugh. A few moments later. After eating, they decided to retire for the night. Levi optioned for her Pokeball as she didn't want to think about what the Tigress had planned for her after what happened earlier. Naruto proceeded to lay down and go to sleep, only Tatiana had other plans. Naruto threw off his jacket and shirt before he slipped into the water. He saw them, the fish. He swiped his arm across the water, making 9 of them fly onto the grass. Naruto got out of the water and was about to take the fish when he jumped out of the way of an attack from two talons. Naruto skidded along the ground and looked at the girl that had grabbed his fish. They looked around, the height of 5'3", long brown hair that fell to her ass, green eyes, beak-up with the feathers above white instead of brown, toned arms, but it seemed that her wings were attached to the upper parts of her arms. Her legs were yellow, and on each of them was a sharp talon. She didn't have any clothes on. He quickly grabbed his dex and scanned her. That was all Naruto needed to know before he jumped up and kicked the Pidgeot. The Pidgeot hit the ground before getting up and glaring at Naruto. The Pidgeot quickly let loose what Naruto assumed was a gust attack. Naruto braced himself for the attack that did little damage to him. She flew up into the air and made Naruto sigh. He was going to have a bit of a problem. She threw her wings forward and unleashed a massive amount of feather shuriken at him. Naruto jumped out of the way of the attack before grabbing a rope. He quickly added a bit of weight to both ends using a paper seal before winding it up and throwing it at the Pidgeot. The rope wrapped around her before dragging her down to the ground. Naruto ran through a few hand signs before stopping. Water style. Water drill jutsu. Yelled Naruto, firing the blast at the girl. The blast hit the girl dead center before she nearly passed out. Naruto took a pokeball and threw it. It hit her before she was pulled in by the red light. Once the ball hit the ground, it started to shake. Naruto looked at it for a second before it stopped. Naruto sighed before picking it up and putting it on his belt. Naruto got the fish before returning to camp. Back at camp. Tatiana and Levi both looked at their master as he pulled out of Levi. Both girls redressed before looking at him and his fish. "Did you get anything worth eating, master?" asked Tatiana. Naruto nodded before pulling off the Pidgeot's pokeball, making them both look at him. "Come and give us a good show," said Naruto, throwing that ball. Once she was out, she looked at the three of them. "Who are you guys?" asked the Pidgeot. "I'm Naruto," said Naruto. "I'm Levi," said Levi as she looked this new girl up. Tatiana looked at her before Naruto sighed. "I guess she's still in shock." "This is Tatiana," said Naruto, making Tatiana nod. "Oh. Well, am I going to get a name, master?" asked Pidgeot. Naruto seemed to look at them for a second before nodding to himself. "How about Dusk? You have that sort of feeling about you," said Naruto. The girl smiled. "I like it," said the girl. Naruto nodded. "Good, because we're about to move out to a gym battle," said Naruto before he scanned all the girls. Name: Levi. Spices: Eva. LVE: 15. Name: Tatiana. Species: Tigress. LVE: 14. Name: Dusk. Species: Pidgeot. LVE: 12. Naruto shook his head. "I'm going to have to get you up to snuff." "Tatiana, Levi, that doesn't excuse you from training," said Naruto, smirking. Levi and Tatiana groaned as they knew what they were in for before and after the training. Naruto walked down the path that was just outside the forest and led into a wide field. He had a small smile on his face. He had gotten all his girls to LV16 in the last 2 days, although he really had to put Dusk through hell and back to get her up there. Since he was training them so hard, he didn't have time to tame them, not even Levi. It was close to midday, so Naruto stopped before taking off all 3 of his pokeballs and throwing them into the air. All the balls open and the girls come out. "Alright girls, let's get some lunch before we head off. I'm sure you're all hungry," said Naruto. "That sounds good," said Dusk as she helped Tatiana get the silverware out of the bags. Levi started to set up the fire for cooking while Naruto got out the spare food. It didn't take them a long time to get it ready before they began to eat and drink. Once the food was finished, they packed it up and Naruto looked at his girls. "Alright, once we get to the gym, here's the plan. Dusk will be first on the roster. Since she flies, she has an advantage over a few types. Next up will be Levi. With your speed, you'll have a better chance if they have power. If it comes down to it, we'll use Tatiana as our base of power," said Naruto. "Why am I the last master?" asked Tatiana, looking at their master with a pouty face. "First, stop calling me that. Just Naruto. Second, we may need your strength as a last resort." "Sorry Tatiana, but it's for the best," said Naruto, looking at the girl. Tatiana nodded before she stole a kiss from Naruto. Once she broke away, Dusk stole a kiss and then Levi. Naruto smiled at all of them before recalling them all to their balls. Naruto clipped them to his belt before beginning to walk again. 2 hours later. Naruto had walked for a while until he came before a guy his age sitting under a tree. The guy had long black hair, light brown eyes, wearing a blue guy, white pants, and 2 bracers on either arm. Naruto was about to walk past him when the guy stood up. Naruto and he were easily the same height, but Naruto was a tad bit bulkier. "Can I help you, mister?" started Naruto. "My name is Zero Ankoku. I came from the Edo League with the 3 Pokegirls I caught there. I would like to battle you, starting with Zero." "Naruto Uzumaki Zero," said Naruto, making him raise his brow. Another from Ito, thought Zero. Zero grabbed a ball from his bell. What are the rules we're playing by, Zero? Asked Naruto, crossing his arms. Zero smirked at him. 3 on 3. After a battle is over we swap out our Pokegirls. The first person to win 2 battles walks away the victor, said Zero. Naruto smiled. Why the hell not? I'm game. I screw you, Elfin, yelled Zero, throwing a ball. Out the ball came a girl that stood at 4'5", light blue eyes, dark brown hair, athletic build, pointed ears, B-cup, wearing a brown leather skirt, long-sleeved brown leather shirt that covered her wide undershirt with the collar turned down, and both her hands had brown gloves, on her feet were boots. Naruto looked at her. He took a ball from his belt before throwing it. Let's go. Levi, yelled Naruto. Levi appeared and looked ready for battle. Levi charged at the girl with quickness and threw out a punch. However, the other girl jumped to the side before opening her palm and shooting out a bolt of blue energy. The blast hit Levi in her back, sending her to the ground. Levi quickly recovered by sprinting on her hand and turning around before glaring at the girl. Levi uses quick, followed by leap and quick attack, yelled Naruto. Damn, that elf is good, thought Naruto. Levi rushed forward but seemed to speed up before jumping into the air. Once in the air she seemed to fall a lot faster than she ran. Elfin moved. Zero said, only for Elfin to take the full brunt of the attack, sending her to the ground. Elfin recovered before glaring at the other girl. She charged her and threw out a punch that Levi stopped with ease by grabbing her wrist and throwing her over her shoulder. Levi then raised her leg and dropped it on the other girl's stomach with as much power as she could. Elfin let out a scream of pain as she fainted. Zero grabbed his ball and recalled her. He looked at the little ball fondly. You did a good job, Elfin. Have a nice rest, said Zero as he grabbed another ball. Come out. Lyra, said Zero. As the ball opened, a young woman came out. She had long black hair that was pulled into a ponytail, stood at 5'3", black eyes, C-cup, wearing a tight red shirt with white lines, a black cape that was connected to a pendant she wore, a black long skirt, and boots and gloves. Which, the magic abuser Pokegirl. Type. Very near human. Element. Magic. Frequency. Uncommon, most of the world, very rare, Edo League. Eyed. Human style. Role. Amateur magic users. Libido. Average mainly, gets high when they're excited. Strong vs. Ghost, fighting. Weak vs. Psychic, magic, water, fire. Special weakness. Ticklish, green-skinned witches have severe water allergy. Attacks. Spellwork, witch's curse, barrier, aura barrier, mystic bolt, mana bolt, power bolt, reflect. Enhancements. Magical affinity. Evolves. Sorceress, normal, enchantress, moonstone, elementalist, angel stone, dark stone, diamond stone, fire stone, heavy metal, ice crystal, leaf stone, mana crystal, psi crystal, thunder stone, venom stone or water stone, tick-tock, dream stone. Evolves from. None. Naruto recalled Levi before grabbing another ball. Let's go, Dusk, said Naruto before Dusk appeared in the sky. Dusk glanced at the witch before flying at her with the intent to claw her into submission. Lyra glanced at her for a second before firing a power bolt. The power bolt was strong enough to knock Dusk out of the sky. When Dusk hit the dirt, the witch charged up to her. Dusk didn't have time to return to the sky, so she caught a punch to the face that laid her on the ground. Dusk glanced up at her before glaring. Do your worst, said Dusk. Mana bolt, said Zero. The witch fired a bolt and hit Dusk. The ball exploded, knocking her out. Naruto recalled Dusk. You did a great job, Dusk. I'm proud of you, said Naruto as Zero recalled his own Pokegirl. I must confess. I didn't expect you to have such powerful Pokegirls or be such a strong adversary, said Zero, smirking. Same to you, Zero. Although I must confess that the last is my strongest Pokegirl, said Naruto, pulling his ball that contained Tatiana. Zero smiled. As is mine, said Zero as they stared each other down. Oh. They yelled at the same time, throwing the balls. The balls collided before bouncing off each other and releasing the girls. Tatiana roared once she was free. The other girl, however, held herself as calm. The girl stood at 5'4", long silver hair, golden eyes, with lighter pupils, solid build with C-cup, wearing an open black dress that showed her white thong off, also in high heels. In her right hand was a rapier. The two girls met in the middle with claw and sword before both jumped back. Tatiana charged in and threw out a hard jab that barely missed Kira. Tatiana then started a small chain of combos before Kira was hit by a kick she lashed out with. Kira skidded back before righting herself. Kira sword wave, yelled Zero as she slashed her sword and a light wave of power shot at Tatiana. Tatiana took the attack before she charged. Kira was stunned before she felt a bite on her arm. She screamed as she threw Tatiana off of her. Tatiana landed on her feet. Kira charged and slashed at Tatiana. Tatiana caught the attack on her left side, making her scream in pain. She glared at Kira before her eyes glowed. Naruto smirked. Tatiana seemed to get a boost of power when her eyes glowed. Tatiana finishes this with uppercut. Yelled Naruto as Tatiana. Tatiana complied before slamming a powerful uppercut into the other girl's chin. The other girl was sent into the air before she landed next to her master out like a light. Zero picked her up bridal style. You did well, Kira. I concede defeat to my friend. I have no more desire to battle you at this time and place. However, the next time we meet I will come out the victor, that I shall say, Zero, as Naruto helped Tatiana up. I'll be sure to train hard for our next battle, Zero, said Naruto. As shall I, though you might want to speed it up. I only have one badge as I only got here 2 months ago, but I'm going to make it to the finals of the league and I would like to battle you at our fullest there. As I can already see fate working its way into our destinies, said Zero. Fate has nothing to do with Zero. Count on the fact that I know from past experiences, said Naruto as Zero walked away. Tatiana laughed. It seems you got yourself a rival, master, said Tatiana. Yeah. Come on, let's get you and Dusk patched up. You two took quite a beating, said Naruto, making Tatiana frown. I had that bitch on the ropes, said Tatiana, making Naruto smile. He would have to give her a present later. In the town. Naruto sighed. Levi said to Naruto. Pokegirls Center. Naruto walked into the lobby to find a few people there with their Pokegirls. Naruto walked up to the main counter and saw a pink-haired nurse with a nurse's outfit that clung to her like a glove. She wasn't very tall, only reaching about. Hello there, I'm Nurse Joy. Welcome to the Poké Center, said Joy. Are you by any chance a Pokegirl? Asked Naruto, making Joy nod. Why yes I am. How did you know that? Asked Joy. I ran into Jenny a little earlier at the park, said Naruto. Joy blushed. Oh my. Jenny always was one to know what she wants, said Joy. Yeah. Hey, can you heal my girls? There's something I need to check before I do anything else, said Naruto. They'll be ready soon. Oh, by the way, the gym leader is a strong woman, so be careful, said Joy as Naruto waved at her as he walked away. At the gym. The gym was easy enough to find as it was near the edge of town by a waterfall that ran behind it. Naruto walked up to the door and saw a man standing there. Hey, are you the gym leader? Asked Naruto. Nah, I'm her brother. I'm subbing for her right now. She went out to do some training. She'll be back tomorrow along with her assistant, said the man. Naruto nodded before walking away. Back at the center. Naruto returned to find that Joy was singing a tone and the center was almost empty except for a few people. Hey there, Joy, said Naruto, making Joy jump. My goodness, you startled me, said Joy. Naruto rubbed the back of his head. Sorry about that. Anyway, know any place I can stay tonight? Asked Naruto, looking at the nurse as she handed him his Pokeballs. You can stay here tonight as the center has 45 rooms. You'll be sleeping in room 17, said Joy as Naruto nodded. That's right, all rooms soundproof for taming your Pokegirls, said Joy, making Naruto look at her. What? Said Naruto. Joy blushed. Since a few Pokegirls are known screamers while in the bed, we soundproof all Poké Centers in every league, said Joy, making Naruto nod before heading to his room. Naruto's ROOM0. Naruto took the Pokeballs of Dusk and Tatiana before letting them out. Once out, both girls looked at Naruto. Tatiana smirked before jumping on him and kissing him. So master, what are we doing? Asked Tatiana, wondering how she was getting tamed tonight. Naruto smirked at the two girls. Dusk closed her eyes and went to sleep while Naruto climbed in between the girls. Naruto looked at both his girls before he kissed them both on their foreheads and went to sleep. Next morning. Naruto and Tatiana walked out of the room and saw Nurse Joy in another room talking with another trainer. They both smiled at her before they walked away and towards the gym. Once at the gym, they noticed that the man from before was standing there. Hey man. Yo sis back? Asked Naruto. Yeah, she's back. She got in last night. Her and her assistant keep me up half the damn night, said the man, growling. Okay, we're here to challenge this gym, said Naruto, showing his determination. The man nodded. Follow me, said the man as he led Naruto into the gym. The gym was a massive dome with railings and other things. In the center was the battlefield. It was mostly a body of water with 5 white circles. On the other side of the gym were 2 women. One looked around 23, stood at 5'4", had long black hair, brown eyes, a sexy figure with a B cup, wearing a black 2-piece with a skirt on. The other looked around 19, stood at 5'7", purple hair pulled into a ponytail, brown eyes, a grin that could make her and himself related, wearing a brown bikini-like shirt, black skirt, long brown jacket, and high heel boots that stopped at mid-thigh. The one with the long hair turned. Oh hi. You must be the one my brother told me about. I'm Yuki. The leader of this gym. If you didn't get, my brother's name, it's Yama, and this girl here is my assistant. Anko Midarashi, said Naruto, making her grin widen. They stared each other down before Anko ran at Naruto with a pissed look on her face that scared the shit out of everyone. Naruto gulped as Anko charged at him. Naruto and Anko had become good friends after the invasion by Pain. Hell, they even slept together from time to time when things got boring in the village and neither had a mission to complete. The only people who were really against them sleeping together was Sakura, as she had wanted to be Naruto's first, and that damn council who wanted an army of Uchihas post. Naruto closed his eyes as Anko was only inches from him. He however didn't feel a blow from a punch or a sting from a slap, but he was knocked over as Anko hugged him and they both hit the ground. Anko began to kiss him on his lips repeatedly. "Oh, thank Kami. It's good to see you again, Foxy-kun. After what happened I thought I'd lose you forever," said Anko, kissing him again. "Okay, now I know something's up. She only called me that before, during and after sex," thought Naruto. Yuki looked at Anko and Naruto. "You two know each other?" she asked with a raised brow. Anko smirked. "Of course we do. Not only did we work together and grow up in the same village, we also had a few fun nights," said Anko, smirking at the blushing gym leader who was having the perverted giggles. "I remember you telling me about a boy you knew that rocked your world. Tell me, was it good?" asked Yuki. "Some of the best sex I ever had," said Anko. "How the hell did you get here, Anko?" asked Naruto, making Anko grin and blush, which was never a good combo. "Well, not here. Be back in a sec, Yuki-sama," said Anko as she led Naruto into the hall. "Well, it's like this," started Anko. Flashback. Anko was boiling on the inside. The council had just tried to order her not to presume Naruto as a romantic interest anymore and wanted her to not only train but give the Uchiha brat children. She would sooner commit seppuku rather than give herself to him freely in any shape or form. She had even talked to the Hokage about it and she had been ready to go to war with them. Anko was walking to the park when she had to jump into a tree. Sakura was there with 3 other women. Nurses from the hospital. Anko pitied them. All of them had a romp with the Uchiha and he left after only 15 minutes. "Anyway, Sakura, what did you do to that demon?" asked the one closest to her. Sakura smirked. "Well, you see, I had to give him a physical one time. It was then that I noticed that he was not only longer than Sasuke-kun but thicker," said Sakura. "What was his size?" asked another girl. 10 inches long, too wide. Anyway, I was still pissed off at that bitch Anko for taking what belongs to me, so I used a small seal to make him a bit thinner. After all, Sasuke-kun is 7 inches long and 2 inches thick," said Sakura, making the girl sigh. "Alright then, legs, go find him," said Sakura as they all left. Anko glared at the spot they just left before vanishing. She reappeared on top of the hospital room and began to make her way to Sakura's office. Sakura had an office on the 6th floor that she rarely locked. Once Anko was inside, she quickly ran through the place and found not only village documents but also the seal that Sakura used. Anko read over the seal and found that it was a mild one that she could easily undo. It was ranked at C, but Sakura had it under the A's. Anko sighed. Not only is this girl weak, but she leaves her office unlocked. "I'll have to talk to the Hokage about this, but first I need to find Foxy-kun and undo the damn seal," said Anko as she rushed out the door and towards Naruto's normal training ground. Once there, Anko saw that Naruto was starting to glow a bright white color. She didn't know what was happening, but she ran over to Naruto and grabbed his shoulder. Next thing she knew, they were traveling through a blue tunnel, and a few seconds before the light faded, Anko lost her grip on Naruto's shoulder. Flashback ends. Tatiana jumped at the girl and threw a powerful jab that missed. The other girl smiled as Tatiana threw out a kick. The girl took the kick to the gut and skidded back. She recovered as if she barely felt anything. She pulled her hands apart before firing a blast of water at Tatiana. Tatiana prepared for this as she charged forward with a super claw that cut through the water and then hit the girl in the face. That was all that was needed before Tatiana unleashed a powerful combo that Naruto had helped her with. Tatiana blasted the other girl up with an uppercut before following it up with an uppercut, super claw combo hit before finishing with an axe kick to the gut. The other girl flows to the ground before landing hard and nearly being knocked out. "Water Maiden uses a water sword," said Yuki. The Water Maiden got to her feet before a blade of water appeared out of nowhere. Naruto had a worried look on his face. He knew Tatiana was strong and he didn't know how well trained this maiden was in the art of swords. "Tatiana, please be careful," said Naruto, making her nod. "Don't worry about me, I'm a tough one," said Tatiana. The girl held the sword above her head before bringing it down. Tatiana jumped out the way as it cut her across the cheek. Tatiana flipped over the girl and kicked her in the back before grabbing her around her waist and then slamming her into the ground while bending backwards. The Water Maiden fainted and was recalled. "Water Maiden is unable to battle winner Tatiana," said Anko. "You did well. Rest now. Come on out, Bukong," said Yuki, throwing another ball. The ball ended and a woman appeared. She had long slender legs, light blonde hair, green eyes, C-cup, and she wore nothing to cover herself. Naruto looked at her for a second before scanning her. Oogong, Aqua Mermaid, the sexy seal Pokegirl. Type. Near-human metamorph. Element. Water. Frequency. Uncommon. Diet. Seafood. Role. Fishing assistant, deep water diving. Libido. Average, high in the spring. Strong vs. Fire, rock, water. Weak vs. Electric, ice, plant. Attacks. Water gun, scratch, tackle, headbutt, tail slap, slick stroke. Enhancements. Breathe water, enhanced flexibility, subcutaneous insulation layer, enhanced olfactory sense, X4, enhanced hearing, X3. Evolves. None. Evolves from. Selkie, normal. Naruto looked at her. She was a dangerous one. He quickly looked at Tatiana. Be careful. She doesn't look tough, but that could be a misdirection, said Naruto. Tatiana smirked at her tamer before winking at him. Don't worry Naruto. I'll be alright, Tatiana said before roaring at the Boopgong. Second battle begins. Yelled Anko. Tatiana charged and threw out a powerful jab. The girl caught it in her open palm before grabbing Tatiana and throwing her over her shoulder and into the water. The Boopgong quickly followed her into the water. Yuki laughed, making Naruto glare at her. What's so damn funny? Yelled Naruto glaring at her. Boopgong is a metamorph. That means she can change her body and underwater she has the complete advantage over any land-based Pokegirl that comes into her domain, said Yuki smirking. That means oh no. Tatiana. Yelled Naruto looking into the water. Evolves from. Tigress, close to pushed over the edge by former tamer, only to be brought back from the edge by another, and she feels a strong love connection to Panthers, finding redeeming qualities in a tamer and loves him. The tale of this Pokegirl is a sad yet happy one. If abused by her former tamer and then left on her own she will fall into a depression before she turns into a feral tigress. If then picked up by a kind, loving tamer who tries to make her feel comfortable she will become what is called a white pantheress. For it's the same, except they must love and be loved in return. The major differences between panthers and white panthers are the colors to their fur as well as their personalities. While panthers are considered to be malevolent, panthers are considered to lack true loves. It should also be stated that the berserkers are vastly different from each other. A berserker has more muscle mass and strength. This Pokegirl is really a sight to behold, just like her not so far off cousin a white pantheress can stand at just about 5'5" to 6'3", depending on what form she takes. In the case of a berserker she will stand 5'11" to 6'3", with less muscle than her counterpart, with round blue eyes, and seated D-cup fiend, if you can even call it that, form is truly beautiful. She stands at least 5'5" to 5'10", shapely body, with wide white fur covering her body, D-cup, long silver hair, and stunning purple eyes. They generally live as long as 120 years. For some reason this extends to both her mate, tamer, and harem sisters. She likes to cuddle up to her tamer after taming and sleeping with him for the night. She is kind to her harem sisters, but firm in her decisions, even ones that she knows will hurt and are harsh, but there is little else we can tell you as only 8 have been known to exist, the first only a few years after the first panthers came into play. The tamers that have white panthers say that they make excellent alphas and good teachers if they must. They also seem to like learning and love kids to death. It should also be said that they will fight to the death to protect their tamer from harm. It should also be noted that a pantheress and white pantheress have battled before, and if they are allowed to fight, it will be a death match. All other things are second to them, even killing males for a dot. It should also be noted that the pantheress that won that battle didn't kill her opponent right away, she raped her opponent after defeating her in front of her bound tamer, before dealing the death blow to her, before her tamer was able to escape. There has never been a case of thresholding into a white, and few are wondering if it is even possible for a girl to become one. Tatiana? Asked Naruto looking at her. Tatiana turned and smiled at Naruto. The smile nearly melted his heart. It's alright Naruto-kun. I'm still here, but I feel just a tad different now, said Tatiana as she tilted a bit so one of her knees was bent. A few seconds later Boopgong jumped out of the water and tried to strike her, only for Tatiana to lash out with a powerful kick that sent Boopgong onto the tile. Oh no. Yelled Yuki. Tatiana, let's try Celestial Crusher. Yelled Naruto. Tatiana jumped into the air before pulling back her fist and charging it up. It turned white before she flew down at Boopgong and slammed her fist into her face. The force of the punch sent her flying past Yuki and into the wall. Boopgong. Yelled Yuki running over to her fallen Pokegirl. Winner Naruto Uzumaki Archer, said Anko as she relaxed. Naruto was stunned until he ran over to Tatiana on the tiles and hugged her with tears in his eyes. Tatiana was stunned. Naruto, started Tatiana. I thought I lost you to the darkness Tatiana, said Naruto crying into her shoulder. Tatiana smiled as she gave him a hug and began to pat his hair. "Calm down, Naruto. As long as I have you I will never fall into the darkness," said Tatiana as the two hugged each other. Naruto was on the video phone with Jack and showing him his badge. "That's great, Naruto. You've already gotten a badge and from a water gym no less. Personally, water gyms are considered to be some of the stronger ones in any region," said Jack, glancing at his brother's badge. Naruto nodded. "Thanks, and yeah, for a second I thought Tatiana would lose," said Naruto. Jack looked puzzled. "Who is that?" asked Jack as Rally walked into the room. "Hi Naruto-kun," said Rally waving at Naruto. Naruto smiled and waved at Rally. Hey Rally. "Tatiana is a tigress I captured only a day after leaving. She evolved into a white pantheress during our battle with Yuki," said Naruto smiling at his bro. Jack's jaw dropped. "What? You have a white? This is rare. All the way to the top, baby," yelled Jack, only to be clocked on the head by Rally, who had a tick mark on her head. "Jack, you know better than that." "So Naruto-kun showed us your new friend," said Rally smiling. Naruto nodded before letting Tatiana come out. Jack came back to the screen with a bump on his head. "Incredible. If you wouldn't mind, Tatiana, I'd like to study you." "Nothing bad, just to get a good look at you," said Jack with pleading in his voice. Tatiana tilted her head to the side before nodding. "Sure. It won't bother me any," said Tatiana. "Excellent. I'll be there in 3 days." "Don't move," said Jack, cutting the call. Naruto looked at Tatiana. "And in 3 days you'll all be standing at LV-23 if I have anything to say about it," said Naruto. Tatiana sighed before she grabbed his hand. "Not now, besides we need to get some new clothes," said Tatiana as she dragged Naruto to the store. "But all I have is 3000 SLC," said Naruto, making Tatiana slap him in the head lightly. "Naruto looked again," said Tatiana as Naruto pulled out his licensee and looked at his case flow. 8,000 SLC. "I didn't know I had that much in my account," said Naruto, surprised that he had so much cash. "Funds are automatically transferred from one person's account to another after a battle. You beat a trainer and a gym leader. So you got some good funds to get us some clothes," said Tatiana, making Naruto cry. At the shop an hour later. Naruto followed his girls out of the shop. After spending 3000 SLC each had gotten a set of new clothes to wear. Levi had chosen a black top with a half jacket over, tan short shorts that she insisted on leaving unzipped for some reason, and gloves. Dusk had chosen a top that buttoned along the sides so she could greet her wings in, and a light colored skirt. Tatiana walked out wearing a black shirt that showed off her stomach, tight gray pants, fingerless gloves that came up to her elbows, and black boots. Naruto looked at the girls before each of them gave Naruto a kiss. Naruto smiled at them before recalling them. 3 days later. Naruto was walking through the city preparing to meet Jack at the Pokegirls Center, bopping his head to his new MP4 that he bought when someone bumped into him. They both stumbled back. Naruto and he both hit the ground with Naruto glaring at him. The man looked to be 19, standing at 5'10", long red hair, around the same build as Naruto. He wore a red coat that was zipped up, blue jean pants, white gloves, shades, and boots. "Watch where you're going, worthless," said the man as everyone looked at him. "What's your damage?" yelled Naruto, turning off his player and preparing to this guy into the next decade. "Wait, young man, that's Marcus Red. He is the one favored to win the league championship. You don't want to fight him," said an older man who looked at them. "Really?" said Naruto looking at the man. "Oh yes, young man. He's already won the Great Tournament, giving him 2 badge passes," said the old man. Marcus pushed past Naruto. "Stay out of my way if you know what's good for you, loser," said Marcus, only to find a hand on his shoulder. Naruto glared at the man. "If you and I cross paths again it will be too soon," said Naruto, letting go of his shoulder. Naruto made it to the Pokegirls Center to find Anko there talking to Jack and Rally. "Hey Anko, Jack, Rally, how's it going?" asked Naruto. "Well, Anko was just telling me about your home and I must admit it's quite fascinating." Naruto seemed to think for a second. "That reminds me, why is it that you don't seem so freaked out about us being from another dimension?" asked Naruto. Jack looked at Naruto. "That's easy. A buddy of mine was dabbling in the multiverse theory and I helped him ride it up. It was about 5 years ago that something strange happened." "Strange how?" asked Naruto. "I'm not really sure, but an amount of power was built up in the Valley of Kings. That's a valley dead center of the league. Anyway, the power was so great that the legendary Pokegirls themselves came to check it out. The residue from the battle lasted nearly 10 days, but if you got lucky enough to be there for the first 24 hours, you could catch shadows of 2 warriors battling it out in what now called the Battle of the Shadow King and the Light King. Only 2 words got caught from the ghosts," said Jack as he seemed to be in his own world. "What were those words?" asked Naruto. "Rasengan and Chider," said Rally. If you looked close enough you could see the Shadow King holding a ball of lightning that sounded like fluttering birds, as well as wings on his back, and the Light King holding a ball of pure power in the palm of his hand, and a red fox tail, said Jack. Naruto and Anko's eyes widened as they said this. Now they knew that the power that both Naruto and Sasuke put out was incredible, but to think that it reached another world entirely. That was something out of the old manga Naruto and Anko liked to read. Enough about that. Honestly Jack, you get sidetracked too easy. Let's see Miss Tatiana and your badge, Naruto, said Rally. Alright Rally, said Naruto. Anko and Naruto laughed at Jack before Naruto grabbed his pokeball and brought Tatiana out. Jack grabbed his notepad and began to write as Jack. Naruto and Anko began to talk to Rally. Naruto reached for his badge only to discover it was gone. What the hell? Said Naruto, stopping all activity around him. What's wrong with Foxy-kun? Asked Anko. My badge is missing. Yelled Naruto only to remember Marcus. It was that bastard Marcus. Yelled Naruto. Hold on, you can't just accuse people of taking things. Anyway, I just passed him not too long ago and he said he beat the leader of the gym, said Jenny walking in. Hold on a minute. The only person that Yuki even logged in as challenging her is Naruto here and he won that badge fair and square. Yelled Anko. She and Jenny never got along too well when they saw each other. Oh really, then let's give Miss Yuki a call, said Jenny walking over to the vid phone and calling Yuki. Hello. This is Yuki, said Yuki from the main section of her gym. Hello Yuki. Say, have you by any chance battled a guy named Marcus Red today? Asked Jenny. Yuki shook her head. Sorry. The only person I've battled this week is Naruto-kun and he won his badge 3 days ago, said Yuki. That means we have a badge thief, said Jenny. What? I'm on my way, said Yuki, hanging up the phone. I'm not waiting. Dusk, let's go. Yelled Naruto as Dusk appeared. What's wrong, master? Asked Dusk. Dusk, our badge was stolen. See if you can find the guy who did it. He has a red jacket and red hair, said Naruto, making her nod. Here, take this. It's a police head comm, said Jenny, giving Dusk the headset, and she took off. Yuki arrived as everyone prepared to help Naruto get his badge back. It didn't take much long for Dusk to find him. He was just getting ready to leave town on the North Road. With Dusk didn't want to let this man get away with what belonged to her master, so she flew at him trying to buy some time. Marcus jumped out of the way of a wind attack and did an air spin kick, sending her to the ground. Dusk jumped up and flew into the sky again. You're going to pay for what you did to master. Yelled Dusk as she spread her wings. So the bird bitch wants to play. Very well. I have some time to kill today, said Marcus as she flew at him again with a powerful kick. Marcus sidestepped it, grabbed her by the collar and slammed her into the pavement before stomping on her, making her scream in pain. He stomped on her again and again before picking her up and charging his fist. Goodbye bird bitch, said Marcus as his fist rocketed forward only to be stopped by Naruto. Naruto grabbed Marcus's other hand and made him release Dusk before he picked her up and walked her over to Anko. Naruto turned around with fire blazing in his eyes as he stared at the man who had just hurt one of his precious people. You stole my badge. That's one thing, but hurting my friend is something else altogether, said Naruto. Marcus fished the badge out of his pocket. The reason the bird bitch was hurt was because she was too weak to hang with my level of power, and the reason you lost your badge is because a fool and weakling like you doesn't deserve it, said Marcus, throwing it up before catching it in his hand. Those words seemed to trigger something in Tatiana that made her shake. It's him, said Tatiana in a slight whisper, making everyone look at her. What do you mean? Asked Anko as she started to wrap Dust up. He's my former tamer. He's the one that pushed me to the edge, so close to falling into the darkness, said Tatiana. Marcus looked at her for a second. Oh, you were once that weak tigress I owned. I thought you died. Well, now you have some real potential. Come back to me, my pet, said Marcus, holding out his hand. Rally hugged Tatiana as she started to really shake. How could you harm such an innocent and caring soul? Asked Rally, ready to hurt the man before her. Bastard. You give all tamers bad names, yelled Jack, clenching his fist. He may have been a researcher, but he is still a strong guy. It's people like you that make me hate my job as gym leader. Yelled Yuki. You lied to me. An officer of the law. I hereby place you under arrest, said Jenny, getting ready to pull her gun. Naruto held his hand out to stop Jenny. Wait. Taking my badge is one thing, started Naruto as he looked over at his girls before throwing Anko Levy's pokeball. But, you hurt Dusk, hurt Tatiana. To me a badge pales in comparison when you hurt someone I care for, said Naruto. Oh yeah? What are you going to do about it? Asked Marcus as Naruto started to glow a faint red. Naruto appeared in front of Marcus before slamming him onto the ground and throwing out a powerful punch that Marcus was able to avoid, if only barely. I'm going to break every bone that I can. yelled Naruto as he charged Marcus, grabbed him by his shirt and threw him into a building. "Officer, aren't you going to stop him? He is assaulting Marcus Red," yelled a young woman. "It's not my problem, miss. The young man with blonde hair is dealing out justice," said Jenny. Marcus climbed out the building before dusting off his shoulder. "You're going to have to do better than that. My blood gift gives me dragon hard skin as well as strength the control over lightning and fire," said Marcus. "Then I can't hold back if I'm going to break those bones," said Naruto as he ran at Marcus and threw out a powerful haymaker. Marcus was hit so hard his body nearly flowed backwards, but he held his ground so only his head turned up slightly. He returned the favor by kicking Naruto in the gut. Naruto recovered and threw him into the ground before using a leg drop that would make Tsunade proud. Marcus got out of the way and kicked Naruto in the face. Naruto skidded back and glared at Marcus. He had a bloody chin from a cut, but that was it. Naruto reached into his pockets and pulled out a set of brass knuckles with blades on the end. He hadn't forgotten the fact that he was a ninja. He still had his headband in his back pocket. "Thanks for training me in your fighting style, Asuma," said Naruto as he charged at Marcus. Marcus expected Naruto to attack with a punch, but he got a kick to the face that was followed by a jab that always sent Marcus back. Marcus's shade split in two as a cut appeared on his face that was diagonal. Marcus glared at Naruto with angry reddish-yellow eyes. He charged at Naruto and jumped. Naruto blocked the kick that was followed up by a knee to the gut. Naruto returned the favor by hammering Marcus in the back before grabbing Marcus and throwing him back. Marcus skidded to a halt as he glared at Naruto. Marcus charged again, but this time, before he was close to Naruto he let out a fireball that was well aimed. Naruto ran through a few hand signs. "Water style. Water drill jutsu," yelled Naruto, spitting out a massive amount of water and countering the ball of flames. Marcus was looking for Naruto through the fog, only to get hit with a punch to the back. "The lesson I learned from my dead pal Zabuza," said Naruto as Marcus got clocked a few more times. He let the fire rise from his body before unleashing it in a hellish wave. "Enough of this. I'm going to end this here and now with my recreation of that attack, Chidori," yelled Marcus as he built off the electrical power in his left arm. Naruto laughed. "Who would have thought that the copycat would get copied," said Naruto as he started to form the Rasengan. Marcus charged as did Naruto. Once the attack collided, everyone was blinded. Marcus was using all the power in his body to sustain the power he had, but it was as if the boy before him wasn't even trying. Naruto glared at Marcus as he pushed more power into the attack. "You can't beat me," yelled Marcus as his legs started to buckle. "You can hold out as long as you want to, but I've beaten the Chidori before," yelled Naruto as he pushed forward and slammed into Marcus's dot. Marcus let out a pained scream as he shot forward, and the ball of power was ripping away at his clothes and the earth beneath it. Marcus landed inside a building and was generally hurt. He had blood leaking from his forehead, his arm was damaged, and it felt like his insides had just been through a raging storm that showed no mercy to any caught in it. "Who is this guy? He hurt me like it was nothing. And that attack he used, it was the other one that nobody was able to recreate. It's almost as if he was the original user of that attack," thought Marcus, lifting his head and glaring at Naruto. Anko walked over to him and took back the badge he stole from Naruto. "You're lucky to be alive right now. The last person who pulled a stunt like you didn't even live to regret it or see the next sun rise. I'd advise you to stay away from Foxy-kun, but fools like you never listen when warned for your own good," said Anko, looking at Marcus before she backed away from him. Marcus stood up and leaned on the wall and coughed up some blood. "He has two things that belong to me, the white and that power. I won't stop coming for you, I promise you, Uzumaki," said Marcus as he started to walk away. He warned Marcus next time he won't hold back. "The attack he used wasn't at max power," said Anko, making Marcus stop before he began to walk again. "Are you just going to let him go to Naruto?" asked Jack. "I agree with Jack. That bastard deserves to rot in hell," said Yuki, glaring at Marcus's back. "He is an evil man. I felt it on him. He will return to Naruto-kun." "Jack and Yuki-sama are right, you should have finished him," said Rally. Naruto looked at Jack and the others before helping both Dusk and Tatiana to their feet. "If I had killed him in front of my girls, I wouldn't be any better than that bastard Marcus. Besides, if the time ever comes that he tries to fight me to the death, I won't hold back on him like I did my brother all those years ago," said Naruto as he recalled Tatiana and Dusk and began walking to the Pokegirls center. "Denny, since this matter was resolved, maybe you can turn the other cheek just this once," said Yuki, putting her hands on her. Denny sighed before smiling. "What are you talking about, Yuki-sama? As far as I know, nothing happened here today, except a dispute between two tamers that happen from time to time," said Jenny. Anko quickly followed Naruto as they began to talk. "So what next for the oh so powerful sage Naruto?" said Anko. Naruto looked at her. "So you remembered that little bit of info about me," said Naruto, smiling at her. Yep, and it's only going to be more, said Anko smirking at Naruto. What do you mean, Anko? Asked Naruto. I mean I'm tagging along on your little adventure, Foxy-kun, said Anko. That's just great, Anko-chan, said Naruto as they began to walk to the Poké Center. Hey, wait, yelled Jack as he and Rally finally caught up. Anko and Naruto stopped to find a Jack and a Rally. What is it, bro? Asked Naruto looking at them both. Naruto-kun, what you just did can't be done since the rip at the Valley of Kings, said Rally. And that means what? Asked Anko. We need to talk as you both could be in very real danger, said Jack looking at his brother. Naruto, Anko, and Tatiana sat across from Yuki, Jack, and Rally inside his room at the Poke Center. What's up, Jack? Why did you say we were in danger? Asked Naruto as Jack. Jack looked at Naruto with eyes that didn't seem to belong to him. This goes back to what I was telling you about. You see, it happened on the 8th day at the Valley of Kings. I was planning to see how long it lasted when two groups showed up that I thought would leave things alone, said Jack. Who showed up? Asked Anko. Sanctuary and Team Rocket, said Yuki with malice in her voice. Okay, I heard of Team Rocket, but who is Sanctuary? Asked Naruto. Sanctuary is a powerful organization that believes that only Subyuki has the right to rule the world. They operate out of the Dark Continent and are perceived as one of the biggest threats to the world as it is. Up until a few years ago they didn't cause any real problems, but after the incident with the Chidori and Rasengan, they began to try and find the source of the power. The only thing we can really tell about them is that they have some kind of pact with a group of limbic pirates as well as other organizations around the world, said Yuki. Not that we're complaining, but why are you telling us all this? Asked Anko. Yuki and Jack both pulled out badges that had the letters PWO on them. This badge makes us as Pokegirl World officers. We have rights to intelligence that normal tamers don't get. Rally here is a LV-70 Pokegirl, said Jack, making Naruto and Anko look at Rally. But from what I understand you should have evolved into your most powerful form by now, said Anko looking at Rally. You're right, I could have, but Jack told me I was perfect the way I was. I stayed this way and although I hate fighting I still fight because I wish to protect Jack, said Rally. Why are you telling us all of this? Asked Naruto looking at them. It's because you just revealed info that could make you targets. We have reason to believe that since you can use Rasengan that Sanctuary may think that you are the next coming of Subyuki or think you have the power to help them take over the world, said Yuki. I don't understand how they would get the knowledge anyway, said Naruto. Sanctuary has agents everywhere and it's nearly impossible to tell who they are. Jack glanced at Naruto. We will have to report this to the council. What you did back then was probably nothing compared to now. You deliberately held back so as not to kill him, said Jack. Of course he held back. Naruto only kills when he's forced to, yelled Anko. Anko-sen is right. Naruto would never hurt a fly, let alone another person unless provoked, said Tatiana. Naruto chuckled a bit. That's where you're wrong. I've had to kill before, on missions and in war, said Naruto holding his hands up. With these very hands I took many lives. Even though I tried to stop the cycle of hate and pain. It will forever be there. Tatiana hugged Naruto and kissed his forehead. Quite the story, bro. You should head over to Blow City. That's where you can earn your next badge. And might be able to get some Pokegirls in the process, said Jack. Naruto nodded. I'll be leaving tonight, said Naruto. Anko looked at Yuki who smiled at her. Go ahead, Anko. You always said what you would do to him if you ever got to see him again, said Yuki making Anko blush. Jack and Yuki stood up with Rally and walked out. Once both were out of the room they began to walk away. You do realize that we have to tell the PGWG, right? Asked Yuki. Rally glared at Yuki. You'll do no such thing to Naruto, said Rally, being protective of the person she cared for. Relax both of you. This was an isolated incident. If the PGWG found out then they would do anything in their power to get Naruto and Anko. We can't let that happen, said Jack. Yuki looked at Jack. Whose side are you on, Jack? Asked Yuki. Jack looked at Yuki. Me? I'm on the PGWG's side of course, but I figure that they just dropped a notch on the ladder. Naruto will change the world, said Jack. Later that day. Naruto, Anko and Tatiana were walking through the woods in order to get to Blow City. Naruto looked at Anko. Hey Anko-chan, I was wondering what Pokegirls you got. Asked Naruto making Anko rub her head. Sorry about that. Also I need to remove that seal a bit later, said Anko making Naruto nod. Anko removed 3 Pokeballs and threw them. Alright ladies, get those sexy asses out here, said Anko as the 3 balls open. When the fist ball lands and opens, a snake-like woman emerges. She had purple scales, C-cup and a necklace around her. Naruto looked at her before pulling out his dex. Naruto shook his head. She always did have a thing for snakes. The next was a girl that looked to be around 19, long brown hair, dark brown eyes, black open vest that showed off her D-cup, black skirt and knee-high boots. Naruto pointed his dex at her and scanned. The last was a tall girl that stood as tall as Naruto did. She had gray fur with blue hair on top of her head, black strips of set-off DD, wore no shirt, and a pair of shorts. She waved at Naruto. Saber-toothed Tigress, the flirtatious Fang Pokegirl. Anko pouted at Naruto. Of course they got names, love, said Anko. The Naga is Medusa, the witch is Carla, and the saber-toothed Tigress is Terra, said Anko. Nice selection, Anko-chan. A witch for offense, a Naga for defense, and a saber-toothed Tigress for melee offense. Just like you, said Naruto as Anko recalled her girls. Anko smirked at him. What did you expect from the great Anko? She asked. As Naruto pushed her into a tree. I can think of a few things, said Naruto, making Anko shiver in pleasure. Tatiana groaned at their actions. Can you two do that later? We have to go, said Tatiana, making them both blush before they began to walk away. A day later, Misty Village. A small group had arrived in a small town. The town had a misty morning, making it peaceful. It had a few hundred buildings and around 2,000 people. A small place for a good rest. They walked down the main road and saw many Pokegirls with their owners just having a good time. It was close to nighttime, so they optioned to get a room at the local Poké Center. Once they got there, they saw Nurse Joy arguing with Jenny. I'm telling you, he's wrong for what he's doing, yelled Joy. Jenny growled. Get over it, Joy. He's our master and we can't do anything about it anyway, yelled Jenny. But you're the law, yelled Joy. Jenny slapped Joy across the face before storming out of the place. Anko, Naruto, and Tatiana walked up to the counter. What was that all about? Asked Naruto. He remembered reading that Joy and Jenny normally got along with each other. Joy rubbed her cheek. Nothing to worry about. We've been having this argument for the last couple of months, said Joy. Oh. If it's not too much trouble, can we get a room for the night? Asked Anko. Joy nodded before handing them the key to room 15. They walked down the hall and to the room. In the room were 2 beds and a small desk. Naruto took off his jacket and shirt and laid them down before he himself laid down. He closed his eyes for a few moments and before he knew it he drifted off to sleep. Naruto was awakened late in the night. He looked up and noticed that it was Joy who did it. He looked and noticed that the girls were still asleep. He had recalled Levi and Tatiana before drifting off to sleep. He would have to apologize later for that, but he needed to see what was up. Joy looked like it was a matter of life and death. Naruto awakened Anko and both quickly got dressed. They both walked out the room and followed Joy to her office. Joy sat down and sighed. I can no longer sit by and watch that man do the things he's doing, said Joy. With all due respect, Joy, what the hell are you talking about? Our mayor has been housing a mantis for some time now, said Joy. What? Of all the idiotic things a person can do, yelled Anko. Naruto pulled out his dex and pulled out Mantis. Mantis, the man-eats Pokegirl. Type. Animorph, insectal. Element. Bug. Frequency. Not rare enough. Diet. Live, wriggling meat, mainly human males, but also bird, lizard, frog, and bug-type Pokegirls. Role. Sex, Limbeck pirate executioners. Libido. High. Strong vs. Dark, fighting, ground, plant, psychic. Weak vs. Fire, flying, rock. Attacks. Slash, carve, cut, parry, deflect, sword dance, megaton kick, slash wave, spin cut, confuse, broken castle, weapon guard, weapon repel, Zanmato. Enhancements. Enhanced strength, X8, enhanced endurance, X4, enhanced speed, X5, enhanced agility, X6, 2 extra arms with razor-sharp serrated sickles on them, light shape shifting, wings to aid in jumping. Evolves. Hopefully none. Evolves from. None. Bounty, for confirmed kill. 4 million, SLC. Bounty, for reporting sighting and getting out alive. 500,000, SLC. Recommendation if you see one. Have a strong warrior type or fire type ready to fight. Otherwise, evacuate at once if at all possible. Description. Sukib had a sick sense of humor and an even sicker sense of irony. He started his war because of women like Linda Mackenzie, but in his madness, he hated the men just as much. He hated them for their weakness, for letting women like Linda get out of control. So he created a Pokegirl breed who would be known as their bane. The Mantis. Manti were amongst the most cruel, vicious fighters in the war. The tall Pokegirl, around 7 feet at the smallest, with a thick athletic musculature that allowed them excellent agility, calm-like eyes, clawed, taloned feet, long antennae which increased their senses tremendously, green chitinous skin, and an extra set of arms over their first, that are equipped with long, serrated sickle blades instead of hands and are double-jointed to allow the mantis to bend them in almost any direction. The blade arms are, when not in use, held in a position of prayer and can be used like swords, allowing for many powerful attacks. So skilled in the use of their sickle arms are they that Mantis are considered to be some of the best swordswomen on the planet. Their favorite method of attack was to use their light shape-shifting abilities, disguising their skin color to blend in with their surroundings, disguising themselves as rocks or plants, then using their powerful jumping skills to fly over the battlefield and come down with a powerful pair of slashes. But their combat skill is not what they were most infamous for. The thing they are most infamous for was their sexual appetites. Frequently, after disarming a soldier, sometimes literally, they would take them off and rape them, forcing them to erection with their human hands and taking what they wanted from them, and then once they had gotten off, the mantis would then start eating their victim alive, usually starting with the genitals. The victim screaming in agony as the mantis stripped his body of all his flesh. After the war, an effort was made to exterminate all mantis they could find. Problem was, they couldn't find any. The mantis retained enough intelligence to go into hiding, keeping their movement secret. A few were found shortly before the first widow was sighted and the first Pokegirl bounties were made. That bounty was subsequently increased as Mantis seemed to have developed a taste for bird, insect, frog, and lizard-type Pokegirls as well, great piles of bones being found in Mantis lairs. More and more, Mantis are found in the company of the limbic pirates, who are apparently quite fond of the vicious man-eaters. A captured member of the pirates revealed that once the pirates became an unnoticeable force, Mephisto recruited Mantis en masse to serve as torturers and executioners, an arrangement that both sides appreciate and enjoy. This put the bounty on a level seconded only by the Widow and the bounties recently put out for the Dark Queen and Anima Pokegirl breeds. In a recent raid on a Limbeck pirate lair, a particularly fat, Snorlax-sized mantis was found in the base's dungeons, alongside several hundred bones. DNA testing later revealed that these were all tamers, Pokegirls, and civilians who had disappeared in the last few months. Before the mantis was put down, a psychic probe revealed that all those she had eaten were somehow connected with anti-threshold and anti-feral research. The mantis knew nothing more than that, she simply ate whom she was sent. This has led security to be increased around those facilities and for the family members of those involved. Naruto closed the decks and looked at Joy. "How long has this thing been in town?" asked Naruto. "A few months, I think. It also goes hand in hand with a few people who have gone missing in the last little while. Jenny is so loyal to him that she ignores all of this. She just refuses to believe me on this matter and thinks the master can do no wrong. Please stop him before something happens to Jenny," said Joy as tears began to run down her face. Naruto stood up and gave Joy a hug. "Don't worry. I'll put a stop to this," said Naruto as he walked out the center with Anko right behind him. "I knew that you want to help, but this is suicide. My Pokegirls are only at LV 22. And mine are in the high teens, but they won't take down the mantis, I will," said Naruto narrowing his sea blue eyes. Anko looked at Naruto before grabbing him and pushing him into a wall before glaring at him. Few Pokegirl tamers are brave enough to take on a mantis with high-level Pokegirls, and even fewer are brave enough to take on a mantis alone, said Anko, only for Naruto to pull her off of him. "This is about more than that," said Naruto as they continued to walk. As they walked through town they noticed many doors and windows locked and are barred up for the night. That gave Naruto an idea of how bad the town was. They soon came upon a mansion that had 2 floors, was blue and had a massive garden off to the side. Naruto and Anko ran over to the wall and used the wall walking skill to get up and into a window. Anko opened the door slightly and noticed an armed guard standing down the hall, just 15 feet away. Anko pushed the door open before she rushed forward and punched him in the stomach before breaking his arm and then breaking his neck. Naruto stepped into the hall and looked at Anko's handiwork. "Good job, Snake Charmer," said Naruto. Anko smirked at Naruto. "It was easy for me to whisker," said Anko as they both took off towards the front of the house. Once they got there they saw Jenny talking to a man. The man had a goatee, wore a white suit, and a long red coat. All around the hall were men with guns. Jenny stepped closer to the man. "Georgian, I've covered for you, but this is going too far. People have been vanishing. I can't allow this anymore," said Jenny. The man Georgian stepped up and grabbed her by her chin. "Haven't I been a good master to you, giving you the thrill of a good every few nights, clothed you? I took you from the streets that I found you on nearly 10 years ago, so my dear Jenny, why can't you let this go, my dear?" said Georgian with a smirk. Jenny slapped his hand away. "At the expense of what? My beliefs, my honor, tell me, Georgian," yelled Jenny. Georgian smirked at her. "I didn't hear anything about honor in bed last night," said Georgian. Jenny drew her gun and aimed at Georgian. Georgian pulled a pistol from his side and shot Jenny in the arm, making her drop her pistol. Georgian then slapped her, making her fall to the ground. "You little bitch. I took you from the streets and brought you up from nothing, and you repay me by pulling a gun on me?" yelled Georgian, stomping on her arm, making her scream. "Screaming for me again, baby? Too bad. I have a better partner for you tonight. Too bad. "You were the best little whore I've ever owned," said Georgian, hitting a button on a remote. Jenny looked down in tears. The one person she thought she could love had turned on her. She closed her eyes as the floor opened and a woman was dragged out. Around her arms were chains. She stood at 7 feet tall, green skin, lean muscle structure, the blades on her extra arms were covered in leather casting, and her mouth was covered. Around her neck was a collar. Her eyes were filled with anger and hate. Jenny looked at the girl before her. "What the hell did you do to her?" asked Jenny. Georgian smirked. "I have had my fun with the man-eating bitch every day for the last few weeks. She's quite hungry right now." "Boys, remove the bindings," said Georgian. His men carefully moved in and took away the chains on her arms and legs before removing the muzzle and the sheaths. They quickly ran away from the area as Georgian backed away from Jenny. He then smirked before snapping his fingers. Mantis's eyes snapped open before she looked at Jenny. She licked her lips before advancing on her, swaging her. That man had forced himself upon her for the least few weeks without a meal, and she was in need of one. Jenny grabbed her gun and aimed it, only for it to be knocked away by Mantis before she found her waist startled by said Pokegirl. "No need to be shy, my dear. After all, death is only part of the ultimate love," said Mantis. Jenny closed her eyes. "Someone help me," said Jenny. Wham! The weight on her went flying off before she found herself in the arms of someone. She opened her eyes and saw the two from earlier. The blonde, however, was glowing slightly and was glaring at Georgian. "Don't move, Georgian, because once I'm through with Mantis, I'm coming for you," said Naruto with his eyes shifting to purple. Georgian began to laugh. "Well then, kill me if you can," said Georgian, busting through the doors and running away. "Damn. Anko goes after him while I handle Mantis here," said Naruto. Anko nodded but was stopped by Jenny. Jenny stood up and ripped her shirt off along the rim before wrapping it around the wound. "Are you sure that's a good idea?" asked Anko, looking at the wound. "I'll deal with it later, besides the bullet went through," said Jenny as she and Anko charged at the doors where the men waited. Anko pulled out 3 throwing knives before releasing them. All hit their mark, each killing a man. Jenny kicked a man in the face, dropping him like a sack of potatoes. They both ran through the door, leaving Naruto and Mantis. "Ah, you let them go, now it's just you and me. Show me ultimate love," said Mantis as she charged at Naruto. Naruto jumped back and pulled all 3 of his Pokeballs. "Dusk, Levi, Tatiana, let's go," said Naruto, releasing all 3 of his girls at different points in the room. Dusk was in the sky, Tatiana to the left of Mantis and Levi to the right. They all knew that something big was going down. "Naruto, you owe us each a long night after this here," said Dusk. Naruto jumped out of the way of the sword like a sickle. "Alright," said Naruto as he ducked under a punch. Levi charged and kicked Mantis in the back. She stumbled forward only to be uppercutted from the side by Tatiana. Mantis jumped out of the way of a feather shuriken that would have weakened her slightly. Naruto charged forward and spun just in time as a cut appeared on his shirt from a slash. Tatiana growled before charging and slashing at the Mantis. Mantis screamed in pain. Levi and Dusk both charged at Mantis using quick attack before both hit her, making her fall back. Naruto studied her for a second as she tried to fight off all 3 of his girls at once. Something didn't seem right for this Pokegirl to have such a high bounty on its head. He quickly jumped back as not to get hit by a slashing wave and pulled out his dex. "Scan all girls in the room," said Naruto. The dex opened up and quickly did a scan of the area before a small display window popped up. Tatiana, LV 18. Levi, LV 17. Dusk, KV 17. Mantis, LV 20. Naruto's eyes rose up in shock. This Mantis wasn't all that powerful. Add to that the hunger it felt, and it was damn weak. Naruto slipped the dex back into the safety of his pocket before charging up a Rasengan. He was going to end this before it got out of hand. "Girls, move," yelled Naruto. All the girls jumped back and Naruto charged forward and slammed the ball into the gut of the Mantis before she screamed in pain. Naruto released the orb and she flew into the wall, breaking though it. Naruto and the girls approved casualty. Mantis was bleeding from her mouth and multiple wounds on her body. She looked at Naruto with a kind smile. "Show me love, please," asked Mantis. Naruto took out a kunai and stabbed it into her head, ending her life. "The love you are looking for is a love I cannot give you," said Naruto as he took that same kunai and beheaded the Mantis before burning the body. With Anko and Jenny. They had managed to catch Georgian as he was near the edge of town. Jenny aimed a gun she stole from one of his men before pulling the trigger. Bang bang bang. The shots rang out and hit Georgian in his legs, ending his running spree. Anko and Jenny advanced on him. "Jenny dear, wait. I'm sorry, please forgive me. I can change," said Georgian. Jenny looked like she was about to take his offer. Only for Anko to glare at her. "If you even think about it, you're dumber than you look." This man shot you and was about to leave you for dead at the hands of his new pet, said Anko. Georgian sat up on a tree. Baby, I didn't mean it. I promise. Yelled Georgian. No one would blame you if you ended his life, said Anko. Jenny advanced on Georgian. Georgian, I loved you so much. I was willing to give up everything for you, but I can't not anymore. This is goodbye, said Jenny. Georgian's eyes widened before he held out his hand. Why? Jenny didn't even give him a chance to finish as she emptied the clip and left the gun where it was. Jenny backed up into Anko and broke down crying. Shhhhhhh. It's alright now, everything is going to be fine, said Anko. A day later at the Poke Center. Joy had contacted League officials for Naruto and he showed them the freshly killed head of a Mantis. They confirmed that it was indeed a Mantis and had the SLC wired to his dex. Naruto had transferred half to Anko as she was a big part of this day as well. Currently Naruto and Anko were about to set out when they saw the last two people they expected appear. Jenny, Joy. What are you two doing here? Asked Naruto. We figure that your harem cold use so law and order, said Jenny. Joy smiled. I figured that neither of you are a medic, so I could be of dome use, said Joy, only to be kissed by Anko. Anko pulled back hands, grinned at the blush on Joy's face. I bet you moan real loud, said Anko. Jenny laughed. You have no clue, said Jenny. Joy glared at her friend. Jenny. Yelled Joy. Naruto laughed and smiled at the antics of the girls. Welcome to the family, said Naruto as both Jenny and Joy smiled at him and Anko. Thanks for watching this video. If you really enjoy this video, like, subscribe and comment down below and turn on that bell notification. Don't forget to support and follow the Zaara the Black for writing that awesome fanfic and also make sure to comment on this story, link in the description. See you in the next video. Goodbye.